Hello and welcome to this edition of Money, Money, Money. I'm Sumera Apti. Well, Diwali is almost upon us, and that means that the wedding season is also almost here. The end of the year is time when people are getting busy trying to get married, and around this time is when a lot of people would be preparing for that. And I know that, all Indian families have a long list of things they want to get through when people are getting married. But one aspect that sometimes gets ignored is financial compatibility between the couples. What does this mean? Why is it important? Joining in to explain all of that is Kalpesh Ashar, of Full Circle Financial Planners and Advisors. Kalpesh, thanks very much for joining in. So we've heard of, romantic compatibility, but financial compatibility is a relatively new term. What does it exactly mean and why is it important?
Thanks, Camilla, for having me on the show. And like you rightly said, that romance is at one place, but finance is that underlying cushion which probably, helps that romance prosper. So that financial compatibility is a must, in today's time, especially when we have, couples who are mainly, we have a family which is dual income earning, and lots of aspirations are built in, and lots of, challenges are there, and that is where this financial compatibility between couples comes in. Now, with due respect to the individual financial status of the husband and the wife, it is very necessary that I would say at least 80% to 90% of the compatibility is in sync and is in motion when a couple is full-fledged into a marriage. So we begin with a stage where we have this financial compatibility divided into three aspects, I would say. The first aspect is the most important one, which is, I think, a very universal aspect, which is nothing but your financial inclusion. And when I say financial inclusion, is that the husband and the wife, or both of them work as a team and not just separate units, because having two heads working together for a common goal with a common motive, I think works very well. The second one is, a very universal trait, or a very famous thing which we've heard even for success in all parameters of our life, is nothing but communication. And that should translate on financial matters in a very effective way between the couples, because lot of time we've seen at different strata of society that effective communication, and we'll dwell upon it as we move forward in the show, effective communication on financial matters is the root cause why this financial compatibility fails in many people. And the third aspect here, which I would say, is having uniform financial goals. So, like I said a while back, is that in today's times, the woman would think that I would want to have an independent status. The man would think that I would want to have an independent status for various reasons, for security purpose, for their own dreams and aspirations. But to succeed as a couple, and I've always advocated that very strongly, to succeed as a couple, to have a proper family, I think outlook on your finances, it is very necessary to have uniform financial goals. So you can't have, one of the members aspiring for a very good retirement and building up a corpus towards that, whereas the other member aspiring for a plush house once they retire and diverting all their finances there. So it depends on the sync, or the, I think, uniformity of the financial goals, which propels the couple towards having more of focused energies, more of discipline towards achieving their financial goals.
Okay, absolutely. And, every time somebody tells you that you have your whole life to discuss this, why do you want to do it right away? Well, it's time to break that taboo, because you should do it actually before you get married. I mean, you have to find out whether or not your thought process is along a similar path. So, Kalpesh, in that vein, what should people talk about before they get married?
So apart from all the rosy things which go on in a pre-marriage phase during the courtship period, a level of financial maturity, I would say, is a must at this stage. It might sound utopian, but the sooner this bridge is crossed at a very early stage of a relationship, I think when the couple is getting to know each other and each other's financial strengths and weaknesses, and they will then continuously work, building their finances around it if they are going to be together for the rest of their lives. So the important aspects which come to my mind immediately is that during this courtship period, when obviously both of them are very young, there's a lot of mindset which wants to show a wrong picture of your real personality, and the guy or the girl would want to show off and do things or portray things which they are really not. I think that's a myth, and the true representation, I think, physically or financially, should be shown to your partner at this stage, because the sooner this myth is broken, if it is not the true one, it's better. The second one is that once the initial, lovey-dovey situations and all are crossed, I think the second thing is if they are going to work, if they are working already, their present earnings should be discussed. The present earnings in a very, subjective manner can be touched upon, because that will give a true representation of what that person is presently doing. The third is, on the other hand, when you discuss your earnings, obviously your spending habits, whether you are a conservative spender, whether you are an aggressive spender, should also be discussed. That gives you a fair idea. I'm not saying that will help you decide your partner, but that gives you a fair idea of what the person is getting into and accept the reality. The other aspect is whether they have the habit of saving or investing regularly. Very, very important. I think in today's times, things have evolved a lot. There's a lot of awareness. There's a lot of things we get to hear about capital markets and stock markets and bank FDs and economy and all. So I think whether this person, the husband or the prospective, wife, they are into a habit of saving or investing regularly. Now, a very crucial aspect I would like to touch upon, Sumera, is that the aspect of if any one of them wishes to pursue an education course before or after marriage, because if it's going to be a career enhancing course, it's going to have a cost implication, it's going to have a time implication, it's going to have other psychological and social implications, because we have to dedicate time on that education course which one of the individuals is going to take. And this is also got a bearing on the family aspect also, when the girl comes into a new house and how she's going to cope up with it. Then apart from that, a touchy topic, I think it's discussed in this particular courtship time, is discussing the existing liabilities if an individual is carrying presently. So if he's carrying a loan which he's already under, payment status, or the family is undergoing some personal repayments which they have to make. So the sooner these things are discussed, I think it's better that it's sorted out at this particular stage itself. The other aspect, of late we've discussed, and it then comes out in a very, I would say, a negative manner, is the family's financial status. The true picture has to be represented, that apart from you, whatever you are, and whatever is your status, your family's financial status also needs to be discussed, because that is where your rest of the life is going to be, spent. You don't just marry an individual, you marry a family in Indian culture. So that is there. And finally, I would touch a very, touchy topic, is that if the prospective husband and his family will allow the girl or the wife to continue working professionally, or if they wish to pursue a profession post-marriage. Very, very important, because there should be a clarity on these aspects, especially on the point of the lady working after marriage. And it should be the husband's initiative to encourage her to fulfill her professional goals if she wishes to. And the sooner it's sorted out, the better.
All right, and make no mistake, the objective of this is not for you to find out, how much a person earns. The objective is to find out whether or not the behavior related to the financial aspects is compatible with yours. It doesn't matter whether a person has less or more, but how do they manage that amount is what is most important to find out. So we've discussed things which are important to know before you get married, but certainly the conversation doesn't end there, does it, Kalpesh?
Not at all. I think the real proof of the pudding is when you get to stay together and you get married, and that's when the real, I would say, the real, the forces come about of discussing money, and the income and the expenses all show up, because that is the reality. And here we're discussing about couples and how they would take it forward. So the post-marriage phase, Sumera, is very, very important. And for many of those who miss out on not discussing these things pre-marriage, and in an Indian culture where there are most of arranged marriages and people still are conservative about discussing their finances, I think how couples start interacting with each other post-marriage also depends on, I think, I would say three factors, which is, the behavioral part, which you rightly touched upon, Sumera, and I'm glad you used the word behavior there, is that an individual's financial behavior depends a lot on how he's been brought about in his family, the past experience of the respective family behavior with regards to money. Because some families are very conservative, some families are quite, spendthrift, some are very investment oriented, and so on and so forth. So that has a big bearing on that individual's mind, and that carries on when that person gets married, and that has a straight implication on the spouse. That is the first point. The second is the level of trust the couple develops mutually between themselves. Now, this is not financial for sure in the beginning, but the level of love and trust which they have as a couple, the bonding, I would say, which automatically will help them discuss the financial matters in an easygoing manner. And the third aspect, I think it's the least touched upon, but I would lay a lot of stress on it, is developing individual financial awareness. So I'm not saying that everybody should be a financial expert. Everybody's got a different profession, different job. But in today's world, I think individually, be it the husband or the wife, has to be financially savvy in a little bit of more than required fashion, because everything today is become a complex jungle. And if you want to make your financial status strong and work towards achieving your financial goals, individual financial awareness is necessary. So keeping track of little bit of what the economy is doing, little bit what of the capital markets are doing, little bit of the digital space, everything should be known. You can just not be oblivious of the fact that it's not my job and the other person who will take care of it.
Absolutely. So we've discussed what is financial compatibility, but have you also heard of what is financial infidelity? Well, we're going to talk about that in just a little bit. Kalpesh is going to stay on with us. We'll be right back after a quick break. Hi, welcome back to Money, Money, Money. Kalpesh Ashar of Full Circle Financial Planners and Advisors is with us. And the topic we're discussing is financial compatibility. So what does it mean? Why you should no longer cringe when somebody wants to talk about money. But Kalpesh, as important it is for couples to be financially compatible, it can't always work out very well, right? There could still be areas where trouble could arise. So what are those areas and how can couples be wary of them?
Sumera, a lot of this is practically a behavioral aspect, like we covered in the first aspect, and most of it are non-financial, mindsets also. So, the buzzword here is mindset, and it stems from a lot of, human behavioral traits which we all have as human beings, and I think no one is spot clean in that. So, like you use the word financial infidelity, I think going on the same thing where you are not really attuned to making it happen in the right way, the ethical way. There are certain points which I think need to be classified as hardcore mistakes, and I list them one by one. So first one is that many of the individuals, I think here I would like to say many men don't feel like really disclosing their real income due to various reasons to their wives. I think. And sometimes it emanates from very, very weird and queer things you cannot even think about. Why do not they disclose the real income? It could be as trivial and as stupid things like not to let the wife spend more in the house, or to inflate their own ego. Either way, whatever it is. But hiding the real income, even from their own spouse, is, I think, a big mistake many people make. And the wife has no clue as to what is the actual income of their household as well. Now, the other thing is that a very typical, human nature is taking individual financial decisions. And one of the spouse, and again here, the men, I would like to say, think their partner need not know about their financial profile, and they are, very unfortunately, I would like to say that they think that their spouses are not capable of making a noteworthy contribution to the financial decisions which he is trying to make. It could work the other way around also in some many of the cases, I would say. But taking individual financial decisions, robs you of two things. One, you don't even get an idea of what your spouse is thinking, and that idea could be brilliant, either to take that decision or not to take. And second is because that individual financial decision is not taken. If there is an event which is very detrimental to your family, there could be a death or something. The spouse also does not know that this financial instrument is there with you for the benefit of the family. So that's very, very sad. Third aspect is taking loans and not informing your family about it. Now those loans could be the bank loans or taking loans from relatives or friends for meeting their personal expenses or lifestyle expenses, or in some cases some vices which individuals have to do that, and really not informing the spouse about it. On the other hand, also not letting your spouse know that you've lent money to somebody, because again in that situation you are not doing any favors to your family or to your spouse in particular. If something were to happen to you and you've not informed them that this money is given by me to somebody, then that money is in all probability not going to come back to you. The fourth aspect here I would like to touch upon is that many times the individual, now here it could pertain to both the husband and the wife if they are working, is taking sudden job or business termination decisions, and it could stem out of anything. It could stem out of a sudden workplace problem which an individual has, or it's brewing slowly, and all of a sudden a decision is taken. Now that affects your family cash flow. That affects many dreams and aspirations which you all have taken together. So there should be a thoughtful process to it, and many times sudden decisions just bring this to a grinding halt. Okay. The fourth is business liabilities. I think for all the people who are professional, be it the male or the female, or are having a business, many a times if they are not doing well in their business or their professions, and they've built up a long list of liabilities, they owe the world a lot of money, owe financial institutions a lot of money, and if their spouses are unaware of it, I think then it is a very, a cardinal sin financially which that person is making, because neither is he going to get the support of his spouse on an emotional basis, on a physical basis, nor financially are they able to even contribute anything in making life easier for them. Defaulting on credit cards, I think that is a very, very technical part, and we've discussed this on many shows of Money Money, that if credit card repayments are not made on time, or people really don't understand how to use credit cards, it's a sorry state of affairs, and any of the spouse could be guilty of this. So defaulting on the credit cards, unwanted expenses done by the one member of the card, and building it up and not repaying on time can have a huge implication on your financial life. And like I said earlier, is financial goals which are not aligned with each other. This can really be a major setback to the future of the couple, as it is necessary for both the members to have their focus and finances on achieving their short-term or their long-term financial goals together. The other aspect, Sumera, I would like to touch upon is, in today's time we live in a digital world, and as small it may sound, but not sharing personal financial security passwords or writing them down somewhere in a diary or something, that is a big problem, because today for your bank account statements or demat accounts and etc., whatever we have, we use passwords, and God forbid if there is a situation in a worst case scenario, and your partner is not able to access it, I think it's a big jolt to that financial situation as well. And the other aspect, it does not apply only to couples, but it surely is very, very detrimental, is the reluctance to prepare a will. I think that reluctance to prepare a will can be a nightmare for the entire financial profile if the matter is stuck in a legal matter and there is no will. Because if the husband has done everything for his wife and has not made a will or something, there are lots of laws which can come up, and everything which was ultimately going to happen in a smooth transition can get stuck for a longer period of time.
Absolutely. But Kalpesh, from the angle of financial planning, what are the absolutely necessary points that a couple must address?
Oh, fantastic. Thanks, Sumera, for asking this question, because that is where the day-to-day life happens. So first of all, I'd like to evaluate here is, you should regularly evaluate jointly your family's cash flow. What I mean by cash flow is nothing but your track of your monthly incomes versus your expenses, so things are not, going out of hand, or if there's a scope to regularly invest something more, you have a handle on that as well. Second is that ensure the earning member, like it could be any one of them, the husband or the wife, or in most of the cases, both the members are earning. That has been covered through adequate life insurance through term plans only. And both are, covered adequately if it's a dual working couple. The third aspect in today's times, which people now have realized in the last couple of years, learned it the hard way, is that adequate health insurance for the full family, just not the husband or the wife, because the kids or the dependent parents also have a bearing on this. Adequate health insurance is a must, and including the entire family, like I said. And the last thing, because the part and parcel of the earlier point as well, is, every time we discuss a lot of points, the couples would discuss a host of things, shifting and lifestyle and going on vacations and having dinner and going for movies. I think they should discuss financial matters, even externally what's happening between themselves, apart from setting up their own financial profile. So they will be in the hang of things, and they'll not be completely aloof to what's happening externally in the financial world.
Okay. So, Kalpesh, just to wrap it up then, we're almost out of time. Is this easier said than done? What has been the experience that you've had working with couples? Is there wide acceptability for talking about financial compatibility?
So, no, it's not that bad as it looks nowadays, because I think the best part is that, the male members, the husbands, also have now decided that, it is not a one-sided thing which they should do. They have included their wives into the whole matter, and the wives are more than, I think, forthcoming to accept this responsibility, and things are much better than they were earlier. But yet, I would like to add up here, is that lack of communication, clarity, or deception, like the word used, financial infidelity, and most importantly, honesty about your existing financial status can harm your relationship with your spouse. If you don't disclose these things and discuss these things with your spouse on a regular basis, and it can negatively impact your financial profile. To sum it up, I would say the key to achieving your financial goals is working together jointly as a team and one unit.
All right, Kalpesh, thanks very much for joining in to talk about this important subject. So whatever be your domestic situation, whether you're living in a nuclear family or a joint family, whether both spouses are working or only one, whether you have kids or not, doesn't matter. Whatever be the situation you're in, the message is that it's healthy to talk about money openly and in a manner which is fair to both spouses. And I hope that you will choose to have this conversation in your home sooner rather than later. And I hope that you will also encourage your children to go ahead and talk about money, money, money. Thanks for watching.